Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Brooklyn 45, the latest horror film from the director of We Are Still Here, also starring Larry Fessenden.
Yep, and this is not a cop movie.
This is not a cop movie, and nor is it a Wendigo movie.
No.
So this movie is about a friend group of World War II veterans who are gathering at a party in order to support their one friend whose wife recently committed suicide.
Yeah.
And over the course of the night, they end up in this single isolated location, almost like a stage play. They end up confronting ghosts of the past, both literal and metaphorical. The idea is that these friends get together and they try to perform a seance in order to contact the suicided wife.
Yeah.
The suicided wife, which is a weird way to phrase it, but whatever.
Yeah.
And shit goes down from that point on. And it is very much a actor's showcase.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in this movie gives phenomenal performances.
Yeah.
Including Larry Fessenden, who rules in this movie. Everyone in this movie really rules. What I really like about this movie is that the entire movie perfectly represents what it's like to be in war.
Yeah.
Not the physical part of war, not the running on the battlefield and bombs are going off or whatever, the psychological part of war.
Yeah. The fog of war, the trauma of war.
Exactly. It's about how even when a war's over, in your head it keeps going.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might literally
It might actually still be going.
You know, we're still kind of fighting Nazis to this day.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is a movie that leaves you just as lost and confused as the soldiers are.
Yeah.
The ex-vets. Or the vets. They're not really ex-vets. Ex-soldiers.
Yeah, the
current vets.
main characters. Yeah.
It puts you in their headspace. By the end of the movie, you feel like you've been through the same mental turmoil they went through.
Yeah, and whether or not they do the right thing by the end of the movie is left up in the air, because that's kind of the point.
And that's the other part of this movie. It's a bit of a morality play, but it is a wartime morality play. What is right and what is wrong is extremely fuzzy.
Yeah.
And the movie fucks with you as it goes on, so you're not quite sure by the end of it.
Yeah.
Was it right? Was it wrong? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and there are a lot of unanswered questions, but there are educated guesses you can make.
Yes. There is also, when we talk about the literal ghost part of this story, there's some really cool retro style effects. Like I'm talking effects that feel like they're right out of Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
Like old school ways to do ghosts, or like Scrooged as well with some of the ghost effects. Like there's something about it that just feels really retro. I don't know exactly how they pulled it off, but it looked really cool.
Yeah. It's they're supposed to feel like kind of slightly old-timey-er effects because we're in the 40s.
Yep, almost makes War is Hell a literal state of mind.
Yes.
To a certain extent.
That's the driving statement of the movie War is Hell.
Yep. Absolutely.
Even when it ends.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I thought was really interesting is the movie managed to do that while also setting it in World War II, while also doing cool things like just casually making one of the characters gay.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. They could have like went all in on like, oh, it's the 1940s, so everyone's a fucking bigot. And they are like, oh no, this friends group is pretty okay with this. They're used to it. And there's just one guy that's occasionally bigoted. Which, to be fair, to this day, that sometimes happens with friend groups.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. This is how that time period probably did deal with homosexuality.
Before the AIDS scare.
Yeah.
Like, it still was not socially accepted.
It was not socially accepted.
It was kept on the down low.
Yeah, but, like, groups of friends would help keep it on the DL.
Makes sense. I especially liked it because the actor that plays the gay character low-key reminded me of, like, Vincent Price. At least in the way he dressed.
Yeah, you could tell that that's kind of what they were going
like,
for.
his performance is nothing like Vincent Price.
No,
but his appearance.
His look.
His appearance. The other thing I like about this movie is that you totally buy these guys as old friends.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell the actors all had major chemistry. And, like, when they casually talk about, like, things from the past, you believe it. Like, you forget you're watching actors after a certain point. Something that I think is really kind of cool about this movie is the cinematography in this movie is very subtle but very effective. And one example of one thing it does is when the movie opens up, it opens up in 4:3. like we're watching an
old newsreel 40 movie from the 40s.
Well,
because
it's got like the Christmas music going, so it's like you're watching It's a Wonderful Life or something like that. Some like old school Hollywood feel good movie. But then when we enter the Victorian that the guy lives in, the movie opens up. It becomes a bit more colorful, a bit more vibrant. Like, okay, now we're in the real world.
This now it goes 16:9.
This is the Hollywood like mythology. But now that we're in here and these characters are actually, they know each other and they're talking, now we're opening up to the real shit. And as the movie goes on, it just gets more and more colorful and fucked up.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you don't know to look for things like the aspect ratio change, you don't notice it.
And when the movie ends, when the characters have to like return to the real world, aspect ratio goes back, but the tone is completely different. Yeah. It's like now we're in a fucking like film noir tragedy.
Right.
We're not in a happy film.
Yeah, because that happens outside. That's the act.
Yeah.
You know?
This is the act, the performance. What happened inside was the real shit, even though it was the weird shit.
Yeah, even though it's a supernatural crap.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. And it's really masterfully done. And even though most of the movie is talking heads, they still do some really cool stuff. I especially like that one bit with like the painting moving its eyes.
Yeah.
Really cool. So yeah, Brooklyn 45, I think, is a phenomenal movie. It is currently available on Shudder. It will most likely make my top 10 list unless I see like at least 5 other movies better than it.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, which is possible. And so with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers.
So what spoiler should we talk about first?
All right, so the first spoiler is they contact the wife on the other side. And this reveals to Larry Fessenden's character, because he's the character with the dead wife. Yeah. The suicided wife, as I put it earlier.
Yeah.
He finds out that there is another side, there is an afterlife. So, he's going to go join his wife. He puts a bullet in
his head, just crosses over.
So he spends most of this movie dead on the fucking table for the entire movie. And you can tell it's actually him laying there whenever they cut to it.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually there.
And I'm like, oh my God, like for like half the scenes of this movie, Larry Fessenden is there, but like his whole fucking performance is...
But then what ends up happening is we find out that he was hiding a German immigrant in his closet. And we find out that he believed this German immigrant was a secret Nazi spy. Yeah. And he, from the grave, wants his trigger man and his best friend and the woman he had a crush on when he was much younger as a cadet. He wants them to kill the Nazi spy because the reason why his wife killed herself was because of this Nazi spy. And later on in the movie, her ghost shows up and indicates that maybe this Nazi spy killed her.
Yeah.
But you're not sure whether to believe it because you also know that everyone was very clear that the wife was crazy.
Yeah.
Just fucking nuts. So you're not quite sure if that's real. So this entire movie is the morality question of, do we kill this German lady? Is she a Nazi spy? Sometimes she acts pretty sus as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're like, that's a pretty sussy answer, my lady. Are you sure you want that? Are you sure you're going with that one?
Yeah. Wow, you have a lot of mental clarity for a baker's wife who was kidnapped and thrown in someone's closet.
It doesn't help that sometimes when she repeats her information, it seems like a rehearsed thing. But at the same time, the first time I watched this movie, I convinced myself that she wasn't a spy. Jack had the exact opposite.
I had the exact opposite. I was utterly convinced she was.
The second time I watched it, I started to question it more, because I started to notice more things, like the way she kind of manipulates the room.
Yeah, exactly.
When things are going on.
Exactly. You're like, let me put it this way. Is it possible that a random person might actually have that skill? Sure, but you know who definitely does?
Yeah.
A spy.
So the characters quickly find out that they cannot leave the room until this is done. Larry Fessenden and his wife will not let them. And he even tells them this when he like possesses his own corpse and he's just like laying there covered in blood with the bullet wound in the back of his head going, kill her. And giving the performance of his life.
Yeah, oh my God.
Give the Oscar to him. He just deserves it. Best supporting corpse. So the characters are stuck in this dilemma. You have half of them that believes that she's not a spy, the other half that are convinced she is a spy. At certain points, certain characters switch
on this,
and some even come to the conclusion of like, well, whether she's a spy or not, we're not going to leave until she's dead. So it puts you in the headspace of a soldier at war.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking when I was watching it about all those soldiers in Afghanistan, where you didn't know if that woman on the side of the road was going to blow herself up on you.
Yeah.
Or if she actually needs your help.
Yeah, you don't know.
And this entire movie is that.
And, like, what's the horrifying part? Well, if you were by yourself, you might take the risk.
Yeah.
But it's not just your ass on the line.
To make things even more interesting, all the characters except for one have blood on their hands.
Yes.
One character, the only lady in the room, actually, besides the ghost.
Yeah.
She was a torturer. Enhanced interrogation.
Yeah.
I love that they threw that out, that little, like, jab at the Bush administration.
Yeah.
Enhanced interrogation. She fucking tortured people.
Tortured people. Yeah.
Yes. She eventually quit that job because she couldn't handle it anymore and got a cushy job at the Pentagon.
Pentagon, yeah.
It was the Pentagon.
CIA didn't exist yet.
It was the Pentagon. She got a cushy job at the Pentagon, which is where she met her husband, who is the one person who didn't go to war. The other characters besides his wife tend to look down on him for this reason. Like, you're not a real man, like the rest of us. But, like, his Triggerman guy, that guy at a certain point blew up a building because there were snipers going after him. And in that building, there was a bunch of kindergartners because it was a shelter.
Yep.
And the thing is, they knew it was a shelter.
Yeah.
But he was following orders, and we find out that the orders he was following was actually Larry Fessenden's character, because it turns out Larry Fessenden's character ordered all these people to do terrible things, but never did it himself because he could never bring himself to actually kill or hurt somebody.
Yeah.
He was fine with killing and hurting, just didn't like to do it himself.
He couldn't do it, yeah.
So what I like about that is the entire movie does this cool metaphor where he's like Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah.
Uncle Sam doesn't want to get its hands dirty, so it sends all these kids out to do it for him.
Yep.
You're watching these characters once again being put in a situation where this character is forcing them to do something terrible. Because at the end of the day, even if she is a German spy, it's probably better just to give her up to the Pentagon.
Yeah. Just hand her over to the Pentagon. That's it. Boom. And so they spend a lot of this movie trying to figure out whether this German woman is a spy until finally the communications officer, the guy he hasn't killed before, kills her.
Yeah. Just fucking shoots her in the head. His girlfriend can't look at him the same way again. Or his wife. Were they husband and wife? His wife can't look at him the same way again. The other guy is basically like, well, now you're just like me. Like, you did something terrible.
Yeah, the other survival was like...
You did something terrible because you were ordered to do so and didn't have a choice. The guy who bombed the kindergarten building is going to go basically confess to everything, come what may. And he asks the other guy, are you going to face consequences for what you did in there? And the guy's like, I had to do it. My favorite line in the movie is like, so did I, kid.
Yeah.
So did I. Which is very much, it feels like, face it, it's Chinatown moment.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what that was. No, this is the reality. This is the hardcore, like, horrible, cold reality.
And of course, there's that repeated line that's repeated as the last line in the movie. The war is over. Says who?
Says who? Yeah.
Because they're still in the war. And by the end of the movie, he has now gone through it.
Yeah.
And you as the audience member, by proxy, have gone through it.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, he's the audience proxy character. Because, like most of us, while he has seen the war, he has talked about the war, he has communicated war things, and actually killed anybody yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And, oh, geez.
It's a very dark-ass ending.
Yeah.
Which is very appropriate to when it turns into like film noir at the very end.
Yeah.
It's a very film noir ending. That's why I was like, face it, it's Chinatown. Like it's that kind of ending.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, it's also doing this nice little nod to the changes in mindset of the eras through film.
Yeah.
You know, like, we have this cute little idyllic, and then we go into like, oh no, there's some fucked up shit happening here, boss. And then we go back out. Now it's like the 50s and noir movies.
Well, that's the other thing. It perfectly encapsulates the post-war paranoia.
Yeah.
Right? The ghost shit, the being trapped in the building and the spooky stuff that happens, that stuff's real good. But what really gets you in this movie is going through the psychological trauma of the war experience yourself.
Yeah.
Without actually going through a war experience.
Yeah.
It's completely just creating a manufactured situation that puts you in the thought experiment.
Yeah.
But what I also like about the movie is that whether she is or not almost doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
The bottom line is, regardless of whether she is or not, you're being ordered, soldier.
Yeah, exactly. And you're trying to fucking figure out whether it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like,
it's your ass or hers.
It's your ass or hers. Well, then, yeah. Or, better way to put it, the only way out that door is to do this. They make that very clear.
This actually might be the best version of like a trolley problem style movie that I've seen.
Yes.
Like it really kind of gets it really well.
Yes.
Because this one acknowledges that the person putting you in that situation is the actual
villain. Yeah.
Larry Fessenden is the actual villain here.
Yep.
And what does he represent? The government.
The government. Yeah.
America. Uncle Sam sending you off to this war to do this stuff. That's the villain.
Yep.
As well as war itself.
Yeah.
Because war never changes.
Yeah. Just like Fallout says.
Yes, I kept thinking of that throughout the entire movie. Yeah. Every time there was like a brief pause, my brain would have Ron Perlman's voice just go, war.
Well, it's because it's got all that like 40s technology.
Yeah.
It's so you start thinking of Fallout.
Because you have all those like 40 songs playing on like the radio, which the thematic connections to what's happening in any given scene and the song that's playing.
Yeah.
And also the songs usually represent what the ghosts are thinking of the situation.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. So the ghosts are there even if they're not there.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's currently available on Shudder. Go check it out if you want to watch it, because I fucking love it.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's going to end up on other platforms if it isn't already. But if you have Shudder, might as well watch it there. Also, if you do have it on Shudder, from what I was reading on Twitter, the director would like you to rate the movie on Shudder afterwards. So don't forget to do that. Where can they find you, Count Jackula?
You can find me here on YouTube at The Count Jackula Show. I stream here multiple times a week, usually around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check in every evening around that time. You can also follow me on Twitter for however long that fucking lasts at Counting Jack. And you can find me on TikTok being a general bastard at Real Count Jackula. And what about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag I gave you an order, soldier. Use the hashtag I gave you an order, soldier. That way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows that war never changes. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.
Pull up a chair, deep in the crypt, from a blood red chalice you must take a sip. Our hero